Hello and welcome to another instructional video. Today we're going to be creating a 3D design with a website called Tinkercad. So I'm going to go to that website, Tinkercad.com, Tinkercad.com. Now if this is your first time using the site, you will have to click this button over here to join now. In my case, I already have a login, so I'm going to go ahead and put mine in. And you'll notice that when I created my account, I used this two-factor authentication. So I need to type in a code that was just sent to my cell phone. This is not required, but I recommend this as a way to keep all accounts secure. It's similar to how we use the Duo push for our Weber accounts. Okay, now currently you see all of the designs that I've worked on in this account. You can go ahead and click on create new design. You probably won't have any designs. Okay. Some things I want to point out here. This blue surface is called the work plane. If I hold the control button on my keyboard and click on my mouse and turn, it allows me to manipulate the work plane. Okay, I'm moving the camera. We have a virtual camera. And then on the right side, we have these different solid shapes that we can place on our work plane. Okay, so I am going to have you place a couple of shapes. I'm going to do 3 of them. So I'm going to start with a box. Okay, I'm going to take a cylinder and a sphere. Okay. Now if I once again hold the control key and click with my mouse and click and hold, I can move around and see where those are. So you might have one view where you're like, oh, these look all lined up, and then maybe I come over here and I can see that they are not lined up. If I want them all kind of in a straight line, that's a little hard to do just with the mouse, but there's a tool that if I select all of these, so I could draw a box around all of them, and I can click this align tool, and then you have these different ways that I can align them. So I'm going to align them all on their centers. Okay. So now if I come back around, I can see that they are not evenly spaced, so maybe I want to click that align tool again. And that would put them all on top of each other. Let's not do the align. Rather, I'm just going to hold the shift key so that it limits the dimension that this is going to move in. So it will either move up or down, left or right. Okay, so I'm just going to move that. And I'm going to move these so that they're all touching each other. And I'm just dragging these blocks while I'm holding the shift key to keep them on that center alignment. So now I have 3 objects together. I can change the size of these by grabbing these handles that pop up. Okay, so I could pull this one out too, and I could do the same with this one. And if we spin our camera, you can see that they've been elongated. Okay, the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to add a hole. So if I want, I could make any one of these a hole by just clicking from solid to hole. Okay, but I want to put, let's see, I want to put a hole, and I am going to move my camera, and I can also zoom in by scrolling on my mouse. Okay, so you'll notice that this one is a solid shape, but it's still, I can see, it's interesting that I can see inside of it that they are overlapping. It doesn't usually do that. what I want to do is I want to place a hole, and I'm going to put a hole. I want to put a hole maybe into this cylinder right here. And what I can do is I can move the work plane. If I want that hole to start on the top of it, I can move the work plane on top. And then maybe I'm going to grab this hole right here, this cylinder hole, okay? And then I'm going to insert that by grabbing this. This is a cone right there. If I drag that cone, I can drop that cone in there, okay? The last thing I'm going to show you is I'd like to combine these all into one shape. Because let's say I want to 3D print this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my work plane back in the original state down there. Okay, I'm going to take a look around my object. So I have a hole in my cylinder. It looks like it's a little off center. If I want to make sure that's centered, I could draw a box around these. Let's see. I only want to get the hole and the cylinder. So I have those two selected. I can go back to my align tool over here, and I can align them on the center on the y-axis, and then if I align there, then it's on the x-axis. Okay, so now that hole is in the center. The last step to combine these all into one shape, so I'm going to draw a box around them. Alternatively, I could point and click on each one while holding the shift key, adding individual objects. Let's say if there was something in there that I wanted to avoid. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this group command. You can see there's also a keyboard shortcut, Control G, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit the button. Okay, and you'll notice that it's changed the colors all to one color. And if I want, I can restore that multicolor by clicking on this solid color, and then I could say multicolor, and we'll put the colors back. I'm going to leave it as a single color, and let's say I'm going to make mine purple. Okay, now this file is ready. If I'm happy with the way the design looks, this is ready for 3D printing if I want to print this. Now I want to point out the reason, one thing that makes a good printable file is that if at least most of it has a flat bottom. So we can see that this solid rectangular prism and the cylinder both have flat bottoms. In the middle, we do notice that if I zoom in here, that this sphere is suspended. Okay, that's a little trickier for the 3D printer. We'll talk about how to handle that when we run this on the 3D printer software. So the last step that I want us to do is we're going to download this file. We can't directly 3D print from Tinkercad, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to export, and you'll notice it said download for 3D printing. I can show you that again. If I highlight right there, download for 3D printing, and I am going to select, we have two options. Our 3D printer uses the STL version. So we're going to click STL, and you'll notice that I have a small little icon on the lower left-hand side of my screen, and it gave it a name, Smashing Brutic. It's probably better if I give that a title, so I can just type right up in here, Ryan's first object. Okay, and I'm going to export that again as an STL. This time you'll notice Ryan's first object. Now this will be easier to find in our next step when we prepare it for 3D printing. See you in the next video.